Howdy folks, I'm Brave Bug Spray, beating back biting bloodsuckers.
I'm Amber.
And here are more bloodsuckers for us to bite back at with our noxious fumes. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Pulling a Little Prank on My Kids? I am a 37-year-old female, and my kiddos are a 10-year-old female, a 7-year-old male, and a 5-year-old female. They have been ranting and raving about wanting to go to the Great Wolf Lodge for about a year now. There's a new one a couple of hours away from us here in Maryland, but we just cannot afford it. They've known this, and we've told them many times, but they still ask to go. My mother has offered to take them, to which I declined because I don't want to feel indebted to her. On Sunday, husband and I decided to take the family on a little trip to a mini golf place. We kept it a surprise for the kids, but when we told them that we were going somewhere fun, they immediately thought that it was the Great Wolf Lodge. Husband and I decided to pull a silly little prank on them. We were driving there when we made it seem like we were going to be going to the Great Wolf Lodge, and the kids got all excited. Then we pulled into the parking lot just to pull out, and they got disappointed with what we did there. They were crabby for the rest of the ride, and while the 10-year-old female had a fun time at mini golf, the other two didn't want to be there and barely participated. They're all mad at me now, but I don't think that it was wrong since it didn't harm anyone. My mom is harping about it to me as well. Am I the jerk for pulling a harmless prank on them? Alright folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk. Now, this sort of thing only works if it's the other way around. Like, if Opie's like, oh, we're going mini golfing, and then pulls up into the Great Wolf Lodge, that's a fun prank because the kids get a nice surprise. But instead, you get their hopes up only to dash them. Like, where's the humor in that? Do you really like watching your kids be upset and miserable?
I mean, if you don't have kids to watch them be upset and miserable, then what's the point in having kids? Just plain and simple. Like, that's what they're there for. They're your little playthings so that you can torture them, right?
Yeah, no.
Every parent knows that.
That's not good parenting.
What do you think of the whole driving 2 hours bit?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, because the Great Wolf Lodge was 2 hours away, right?
Well, it sounds like it was en route to mini golf. It sounds like
Yeah.
mini golf is also that far away.
So if they had a mini golf closer and they chose to go to like this other mini golf situation, what do you think about that?
I mean, that would be even worse if they just like passed up the close one just so they could pull a prank on the kids.
Yeah. Well, also like driving 2 hours to go mini golfing, I don't know. That's a pretty committed mini golfing routine, I would say.
Well, yeah, because like I mean, we've got a mini golf course in Bangor.
Or
I mean,
used to. I don't know if it's still open.
yeah, but and like I don't. There's another one down in I think Ellsworth. That's not 2 hours away. Like they're abundant enough in Maine.
Yeah, and Maine's not a big place. It doesn't have a lot of people, so it's hard to imagine that in Maryland, of all places, they wouldn't have had a mini golf location closer than 2 hours away from them. And that's not to say that Maryland isn't like I mean, okay, like if you're driving through the Beltway in DC, then 2 hours might just be like 5 miles. To be fair, so I don't know. Maybe it was like a traffic type of thing, right? It's 2 hours away, not necessarily like a far distance. So I don't know. I think that this was, back to the point, was kind of a cruel thing to do to kids, and I think that the kids are probably going to be a little less trusting of the parents.
Yeah, well, it's shown them that they can't trust their parents and that their parents will weaponize their wants against them.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the whole situation with not feeling indebted to their mom?
I mean, it's Opie's prerogative whether she wants her mom to help the kids or not. Like, I imagine there could be a lot of causes for that. Potentially her mom has used this against her, like as a kid or, a younger adult and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I can't judge her for that. Like, there could be good reason why she doesn't want her mom helping out.
Yeah, I was thinking like generational trauma.
Yeah, exactly. That's where my mind went.
Where the mom is basically like anytime she's given OP a gift, it's always come with like strings attached or something like that. And so with that kind of filter, I can understand why OP wouldn't want the mom wouldn't want to feel indebted to the mom. So I don't really blame OP there, but I think that this may be a good time to get some counseling.
Yeah, and like if there's no feasible way for the kids to go to the Great Wolf Lodge, then I think this was an especially bad move.
Yeah.
Because like it just like they make it seem like it's within the kids' reach, and now
Yeah.
the kids are gonna be wondering like, there's like I don't know. It just feels like especially cruel if they're never gonna be able to go there.
Yeah. Well, apparently, according to some people, this is like super expensive. So like thousands of dollars type of thing.
Yeah, I know nothing about it.
And that is outside of their budget. And OP
Yeah.
makes a claim that it's like, well, the kids should know that that's outside of our budget.
I mean, but they're like the oldest is 10, the
Yeah.
youngest is 5. Kids don't have a concept of money like that a lot of times. Like, yeah, there may be some like really astute kids, but your average 5-year-old doesn't like. I remember, like when I was young, I was just like, I wouldn't be a lawyer because they only make like $95,000 a year, which to my mind like seemed like a pittance. I needed to be a millionaire, and like I just had no concept that that's actually a really good salary,
Yeah.
in the 1990s.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Specialist Ad 5796 says, "What was the joke? Explain to me how it was funny." And OP replies, "They assumed that we were going to go to the Great Wolf Lodge despite the fact that they knew that there was no chance of us going. So husband and I decided to go along with it, then in the last moment do something else. If someone did something like this to me, I would have laughed it off and then still had some fun."
I mean, Opie's also a full-grown adult, and like, there's also the whole like different things. Like again, if there are two things on the same level, then it might not be a big deal. But if you've got your heart set on one thing, you're really excited for one thing, like I would be annoyed if like I thought I was going to one place and then ended up being somewhere completely different. And I'm an
Mhm.
adult who has better emotional regulation than, a 5-year-old in theory.
And the Chaotic Storm says, "You're the jerk. That's cruel. We're going to Disney. Just kidding. We're going to the mall. Harmless pranks are fine. This isn't. By the way, my mother-in-law took my boys to Great Wolf Lodge, and they loved it. I don't feel indebted to her at all. I am grateful that she wanted to treat them." And OP replies, "Well, I would feel indebted to my mom, so I can't do it. I hate when other people do things for me or my family because I always feel indebted to them. Heck, I don't even allow anyone to give me birthday presents since I know I'll just feel obligated to get them something in the future, whether it was a gift or not. I also don't want them to go with her for things because we are the parents and she isn't."
I mean, I think Opie needs therapy. There's
Yeah.
some serious trauma there where she doesn't feel comfortable receiving any kind of gift.
Mm-hmm. And Smells Like Badussi says, to quote the great Jack Henley, "One thing is, kids like to be tricked. For instance, I was going to take my little nephew to Disneyland, but then I instead drove him to an old burned out warehouse. 'Oh no,' I said, 'Disneyland has burned down.' He cried and cried, but I think deep down he thought that it was a pretty good joke. I started to drive the other way to Disneyland, but it was getting pretty late by then." Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for wanting to leave my partner after he stole from our daughter?" My partner is a 23-year-old male and I'm a 22-year-old female. And we live with my mother and my aunt due to extremely high cost of living in our area. Right after our baby was born, my mother gave my partner $300 to put into a dedicated account for our daughter to start her savings. He opened the account and then he told me that he was putting $250 per paycheck into the account as well. I told him that it was too much and that he needed to keep some money to spend on himself, but he refused. I only recently was given access to the account because he continues to come up with excuses until we actually went to the bank and he had me put on the account as well. Needless to say, when I opened the account, I was expecting to see a good amount of money, but quickly noticed that there was only $5 left in the account. After the initial $300 deposit, not a penny had been placed in it. Not only that, but he had spent everything except $5, and he spent over $150 of that at vape stores. I was livid. I was beyond mad. I was shaking for hours. I was so angry. When he got home from work, he denied doing anything wrong. He said that it wasn't stealing. He said that he needed the stuff that he bought, and he couldn't cope without it. He even had the gall to lie again and told me about it. He told me about the one $5 purchase at McDonald's and $10 purchase at Whole Foods. I was ready to tell him to pack his stuff and leave, but my mother told me that I was overreacting and demanded that we go to couples counseling. She wouldn't let it go, so I finally agreed, but refused to even speak to him until we went. Once we get there, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone or something. Our therapist, a trained professional with an actual degree, not only validated his nicotine addiction, but told him not to feel guilty about it. She also acted as though the problem wasn't that he stole the money from our freaking daughter, but that he didn't inform me when he did it. In her words, she's not going to like every decision you make, and that's okay, completely overlooking the actual situation. She also said that I needed to understand why he didn't tell me because he was afraid to stress me out, once again overlooking the problem. He told me that from now on, I could control all of the expenses, yeah, and just move on like nothing happened. I keep being told by my mom that I need to let it go. And my aunt keeps telling me how hard it would be to be a single mother. And now I feel like I'm crazy for being so upset. So am I the jerk here? Edit for some information. The couples counselor is not from a religious organization and doesn't vocally have any religious affiliations. However, she did make it pretty clear that she was a previous user. She was literally talking about the high of it with a huge smile. When we had been going to her weekly for 8 months before this, she usually didn't miss her mark, but obviously she couldn't separate her personal feelings from this. 2, yes, I realize that $300 isn't that much, but it's not the amount he stole, it's the fact that he stole from our newborn daughter to begin with. My mother handed him money because I am the main caretaker of our baby, and the bank account that we opened requires you to go to the bank. I was taking care of the baby, he was free, so she gave it to him. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I think you're right that this is not a good relationship and that counselor should not be counseling in these sort of situations if she can't separate her own personal experiences from, the situation at hand.
Yeah.
Like sometimes having experiences can help inform counseling and can be a really valuable tool, but it should not be used to dismiss inappropriate behavior. What he did is inexcusable. He stole from your child money that was meant to go for your child's future.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as your mom or aunt is saying that it would be hard to be a single parent, if he's blowing all your money for your family on vapes, like, you're going to be better off without him.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here, right? First off, I think that you're right that the therapist here is having a difficult time separating their feelings, but I also want to add that therapists probably generally earn a good deal of money, and to them, maybe $300 seems like a pittance and nothing really to be trifled over, right?
Well, it depends on the therapist too.
Right.
Like there are different therapy certifications because you can just get a certificate, and you might not be getting a lot of money for that.
And then also, yeah, I think that if they have smoked before and that they kind of were wrestling with those hard feelings, certainly like that's one thing. And maybe they could have brought that up as that this is, a legitimate addiction and, he needs love and support. But he also needs to be held accountable for his actions, right?
Right, and that's the thing is nicotine is an addiction, and it is fully within their right to as a counselor to acknowledge that and maybe to offer him resources to help him with his addiction, not to encourage him to continue stealing the money and be like, well, she's not going to agree with every decision you make, and that's okay.
Yeah.
She did not handle that in a way that was at all helpful. You can acknowledge that someone has an addiction and that that's not their fault, and you can offer them resources, but they also have to be able to own up to the behavior that they've done while under the influence or in seek of whatever their, choice substance is.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Feeling Phyllis says, if this was his individual therapist prior to you two going in, it is unethical for her to start couples counseling with you too. She should have referred you to someone else. She has established a relationship with your partner, which makes it difficult to start couples therapy. Find a new therapist. And OP replies, she wasn't his individual therapist before. And Humco Hugh says, $300 is a really small amount of money. That doesn't excuse the lies, But it does tell me that nobody has a job, because if anybody was making an income and living rent free with mom, this amount should be made up in a little bit of time. So, first off, somebody needs to get a job, and if you need to have a plan to save money, it is possible that your boyfriend has learned from his mistake. But honestly, I doubt it. Keep a close eye on him, because it's not going to be the last time he disappoints you, not the jerk. And OP replies, he does have a job, a well-paying job, making $22 an hour. I have a pretty bad weekend job, but since I'm keeping us from paying childcare, it pretty much is my main job. But we also don't live rent-free. We pay $800 a month for the house and $500 a month for the car, because he crashed the one I gave him. Oh, wow. Even worse.
Yeah, although I'm getting a little frustrated by the people saying $300 isn't that much. Like, I wish I had the kind of money where $300 isn't that much, but like I would miss $300.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, that's true too. People who are working, like I don't like this insinuation that, oh, you're just not working hard enough if $300 isn't a lot of money to you, because lots of jobs just don't pay well.
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, I mean, she's a full-time stay-at-home mom, basically, right?
Right, as well as working. And
yeah, and he's getting $22 an hour. That isn't like a huge amount of money here, right? All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Bill, I've never been to a dude ranch before. Is that horse you're riding well behaved? Ben, sure is. He's got such good manners that when we come to a fence, he always stops and let me go over first.
He sure does. He sure does. And I have licorice spice. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of a prank.
Surprise, we're going to the dumpster.
Surprise, we are going to the dumpster.
But it's a prank. We're actually not going to the dumpster, so you don't have to smell the smelly dumpster smells.
Well, where are we going then?
Just on a walk around the neighborhood, but we'll avoid the dumpsters.
All right, there you have it, folks. No more dumpsters. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.